Good morning.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, guys.
It's another early Saturday morning. The wind's going a gale out there today. It's pretty mad. So we're back in the snug. We've had a slight change of colour. We'll do that from time to time. I'm joined by Sambo.
The one and thankfully only.
Sambo the Rambo. And Brother Lloyd.
If I sit like this the whole show, I can just have a handful of hair.
It's the hairy hand of doom. Well, look, it's freezing out there, okay, but it's kind of toasty in here. So, Lloyd, I have a special one for us today. I have picked us up a Christmas brew. So, a Christmas beer, okay? Sam, I know you're not getting beer today, so I got you a little orange juice.
Oh, thank you very much.
Just watch you don't spill it, okay? And be careful you don't prick yourself with the straw or anything.
Not in the least bit condescending.
Watch you don't spill it now, because careful.
As the flavour too.
Was part of the Walmart chain. You know, this is for our Anglo-US.
I noticed my portion's not quite as big.
Yeah, well, cheers. Cheers. So if you guys fancy a beer breakfast like us, nip off to the fridge. We'll wait.
Yeah, they only had the one beer.
It's like the bishop's finger.
It's not Bishop's finger. Okay, so, it's a tasty wee brew. Okay, so this episode is the Christmas, the pre-Christmas episode. This is the episode where we're going to do our countdown of the 12 Christmas presents. So like 12 days of Christmas, we're going to talk about 12 potential Christmas presents.
You see what we did there? It's very smart, isn't it?
So, the basis of this is that we've tried to pick presents that we believe most anybody would like to receive. And if they have it, they'll not be too annoyed to receive it again. Okay? And we'll go through a justification for them as we go through. They're not in any particular order. Okay, because I don't know if there's a number. Well, okay, there is a number one present in my mind, but we'll come to that. Kicking off first, and because it did make a number of appearances whenever we put the call out, was a backstage pass.
Oh,
I had to start with that.
It's a good idea.
Yeah.
So
why not buy two?
Yeah. So this episode is for your other halves, your mums, dads, grandparents, friends, and stuff to buy stuff.
Your brother, who you love dearly.
So,
when did this miracle occur?
You're watching this because your loved one is a huge fan of Beasts of War, and they would like an annual backstage pass. Yes. Backstage make them feel all warm and gooey inside, because when you buy them a backstage pass for Christmas, you're buying every community member of Beasts of War a Christmas present by keeping us around. Yes, that's how it works. So, if you would like to be the most amazing person in the world and have us admire and adore everything that you stand for and everything you do, it's very easy. All you have to do is buy your loved one a backstage pass.
Yeah, do the right
thing.
An
annual backstage pass.
Get them a pass so they can see more of that mug every day.
Because we know Beasts of War is not just for Christmas.
You got there before me, damn it.
That was our little bit of telepathy going on. So with backstage pass out of the way, that should have been number one. That should be the end of the show.
That's it. Bye, guys.
Yeah, see you later. That's the shortest weekender ever. Okay, let's get into it. Let's get into it properly now, okay? Although, do buy a backstage pass on top of everything else that you buy. Okay. On the 12th day of Christmas, my true love gave to me an X-Wing starter set.
Ciao! What have I been saying?
X-Wing.
I think the community agrees quite heavily. X-Wing's a good present for Christmas.
X-Wing is
Works
on
for me.
fire. X-Wing is on fire. I got another game of X-Wing in this week. It was fabulous. I ran Luke Skywalker with R2-D2. 2 Red pilots. Luke Skywalker was, of course, Red 5.
Of course.
I had so 2 Red Squadron pilots. I had a Y-Wing from Gold Leader.
Yeah.
and
you
I
had-
had
and you
a
had-
Millennium Falcon.
You had your cosplay outfit for Biggs. Maybe it's not Biggs. Which one's the big fat one?
Cover me, Porkins.
I'm right with you, Red 3. Got a problem here.
Eject!
I can hold it.
Pull on!
No, I'm all right.
Oh.
It just impacted off the surface. So yeah, X-Wing starter set. Now, here's my justification for it, okay? We believe that the X-Wing starter set would make a great Christmas gift because if whoever you're buying for doesn't have X-Wing already, they're going to love it because it is a fabulous game. There's enough in the box set for them to have a game with somebody else. We recommend 2 box sets, though, for a proper, really good introduction.
Yeah, if your house has twins or something in it, this is perfect. Get 2 box sets and they're up and going.
Yes. One can have the X-Wings, the other can have the TIE Fighters, and they'll be up and running. If you buy it for somebody that's already got X-Wing, they're not going to be that disappointed either because having additional X-Wings or additional TIE Fighters is a great thing anyway.
And all the
know,
additional
so
counters and stuff.
Yeah.
it's very handy having the additional.
More of all that stuff is definitely useful. I mean, a couple of guys at the club where we've been gaming have more than one copy of the starter set.
My
recommend
only downside to this is when you do get 2 starter sets is, my goodness, there's a lot of little bits to keep track of.
This is one of the things, one of the slight issues I have with X-Wing is there's a lot of counters and tokens to keep track of. There's got to be a better way. I'm not sure what that way is. There's got to be a better way.
It's often the way with fantasy flight games. In the past, they've made apps to deal with this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Like with Arkham Horror, you could have an app for all the equipment on there. I don't know if the same's on X-Wing.
It's a plus and it's a bonus, or it's a plus and it's a minus. It's a plus in as much as you get it all, it's great, and it's a minus in as much as it can be a little hard to keep track of.
yeah.
Right, moving on.
Moving on the topic of starter sets, the next starter set I'd like to talk about is the Dropzone Commander starter set.
We got a lot of calls for this one in
On
the
the
comments.
11th day of Christmas, my true love gave to me.
I'm not surprised though, because it is a well-rounded out set.
It's fantastic. Right, so our thoughts on the Dropzone Commander starter set. Dropzone Commander is an amazing sci-fi battle game. It's all about spaceships and tanks. There are some little dudes, but they hide in buildings. Everything you need for a perfect Christmas day is in this box, okay?
Wholesale destruction. That's your perfect Christmas.
It's fabulous. You know, if you have youngsters...
It's not just for Christmas though, it'll make your whole week.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it'll just if you have youngsters,
Last all the way through Boxing Day.
or people that want to that are just looking for an epic game of destruction, Dropzone Commander is the way to go because in that box you have two pretty complete armies. Okay, you have the terrain.
That's the bit that really excites me about.
All the terrain is in the box.
When you say Dropzone Commander for starter set for Christmas, I'm thinking, yeah, it's great. And then suddenly my brain went, yeah, remember all the terrain that's in there? I was like, yeah, it really is good.
It is fantastic because, and the other thing about this is if you bought that for somebody who's already into Dropzone Commander, I don't think they'll be too disappointed with that because they get an updated version of the rules, they get more terrain,
Always good.
and they get more Scourge and more UMC models and things that they could use. To be fair, they're not the kind of models that you would want an enormous amount of. So if they ended up with 2 or 3 boxes of this, they're going to run out of with things to do with
Options
them.
and things,
Yeah.
yeah.
Whereas with X-Wings and TIE Fighters would always make up a good core of any Rebel or Imperial army.
Well, if I had a set and you give me an extra one, I have 2 X-Wings. Brilliant.
Yeah. So it's but definitely as games and presents go, I think Dropzone Commander has to be up there as one of the must-have gifts of 2013.
Just the terrain alone, because you pop it out and you start folding it up.
5 minutes.
You've got a tabletop.
Under the tree Christmas morning, folding away, going, there's a bread.
Oh dear me.
Move on, Warren. Let's see what
Moving
we
on.
got.
Yeah, what else has Santa got in his
On
sack?
the 10th day of Christmas, my true love gave to me a Vallejo paint case. Now, I wanted to steer clear of paints and things like that in this because I thought to myself, it's an easy cop-out. However, this is the kind of thing that I believe that a gamer would only ever get as a gift, okay? Because a Vallejo paint case, it's quite, it's certainly over £100. It's a case, it's got all the Vallejo range. There's ones, I believe, for game color and one for model color. The game color's got more vibrant tones in it. The thing about this is most gamers will have a color scheme in mind, and if they're kind of sensible, they'll just go out and they'll only buy the colors that they need for that paint scheme. And then they'll sit and they'll paint away with that paint for that scheme. However, there's a lot to be said for having a variety of paints on hand. And one of these cases with its 100 or whatever odd paints in it really gives you the opportunity to feel like you can experiment in your painting.
Yeah.
Especially if you've got something, if you're into like a fantasy game, Kings of War, something like that, and you're building units, you may have your theme, which, I don't know, is 4 or 5 colours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then you think, but I want to individualise these guys, and you've got a paint case sitting there with options.
Yes.
He can have a slightly different coloured belt, he can have a slightly different coloured plume, and suddenly it's starting to mix and match rather than, because if you just have the 5 colours for your scheme, you very quickly go, I needed some more colours.
It's the perfect Christmas gift. Go ahead.
Of course, if you do just want those precise colors, Vallejo have those new paint sets they're bringing out, which have step-by-step instructions by I can never pronounce his name.
Angel Heraldez.
That's the one.
Just call him Angel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, him. Step-by-step instructions for things like non-metallic metallic paints and the like.
Non-metallic metals.
Yeah.
And there's the black and white set as well.
Yes.
With this cool,
Yeah.
I think it's based off a sort of a knight.
Yeah, like a
Yeah, well, that
Templar.
was what he
It's
was
awesome.
using. It looks great.
Yeah, it's but they're lovely one-off gifts for somebody that's maybe a little bit further on in their painting that wants to learn a new technique from a master like Heraldez. The reason I believe that the box set is a perfect Christmas gift is that most gamers will never buy themselves a box set. Because it's not that they're massively expensive, but there's always something else that you'll want to spend your money on. Whereas it is an exceptional thing for them to have, and they'll be so appreciative of it because it's the kind of thing that they would never buy themselves. So if somebody bought it for them,
Our
they'll be
sister's
so
an example.
appreciative of
She
that.
would wet herself if we gave her that.
Yeah.
She's not going to buy it herself, but she would love it.
No.
Well, there you are then, guys.
Definitely, one to look for, the Vallejo paint case. Okay? Right. Next up, where are we at?
You're going to sing your wee song of 9
On
days?
the 9th day of Christmas, my true love gave to me a Loca chess set. Loca chess set.
Loca.
Okay, so Loca, right, we've picked this out because we feel that this is the kind of game that you could crack open on a Christmas morning and play with grandparents or anybody in the house. If you know the basic rules of chess, and let's be honest, most people do, and if they don't, it doesn't take long to learn, you can play Loca, okay?
I think you hit the nail on the head. My plus point in that is chess, you've got the basic rules down. You whip off the lid. There's no building to do. There's up to 4 players, so it's not like 2 people suddenly exclude the other people in the room.
Yeah.
Because let's face
That's
it,
true, yeah.
Christmas is a time when lots of people gather around. This, you can entertain 4 people at your Christmas, after your Christmas
It's
dinner.
4-player chess with some beautiful little miniatures.
They are
as well.
brilliant minis. Yeah, based around each of the 4 elements. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like elemental chess, and what you have is you have this 4-player board, and you're all kind of competing against each other, and it's fun. You know, it's Shuru was the first incarnation of where Alessio Cavatore, the designer, went with this game, and I loved Shuru.
It was a fun game.
Toranga then had the 4-player version of that, and that was fantastic. It was really, really good fun, and it's a great way of working out whether somebody's got the gamer gene. One of the things that some of the old hands in Nottingham talk about is they talk about gaming is in our genes. You know, it's a collector's. You'll have that gene. So they'll say that a young boy, maybe of 12, will go into a Games Workshop or something like that and buy some stuff. And if he's got that gene, he'll continue on. He'll take his break, which we've all done for cars and ladies, and then he'll come back into it. Same for any girls or whatever that come into it. They'll take their break for cars and boys or ladies, and then they'll come back into it. But if he's got that gene, you'll never ever get rid of it. This is an easy way of spotting people that have the gene, because if they enjoy a game of chess and you find them playing with the miniatures and looking at the miniatures and going like this, you can say, I see you like my miniatures.
That's next Christmas sort of that.
Would you like to come and see the rest of my collection?
Your midi-chlorian count is high.
Yes, your midi-chlorian count is high. So Loca, on the subject of Loca, Loca is also now going to cards. It's going to tarot cards. So if you haven't checked it out already, the Tarot of Loca is a Kickstarter that's on at the moment. It's by Alessio Cavatore, and one of the great illustrators.
He's done Magic the Gathering, Dungeons and Dragons, Talisman, all that sort of stuff.
So they've got together to create this beautiful themed tarot card game. Based on the elements and stuff like that of Loca. It's really nice.
That's the interesting thing. Most people think that tarot decks were just for fortune telling, but they weren't. They were for gaming. Yeah. And this the Tarot of Loca is going to be a 4-player game again, team based. So you're in teams of 2s. Yeah. As well as being usable as a tarot deck.
So yeah, if you are buying for someone and you think that they might enjoy a game of chess for 2 to 3 or 4 players on Christmas morning, you're doing well to have a look at Loca. On the topic of board games, okay,
What was this, number 8?
On the 8th day of Christmas.
We're not going to let that drop.
You've got to keep going.
To me. Okay, on the 8th day, on the same topic of board games, there's another board game that I really like. And I've
spilled my orange juice, damn it.
This game is interesting in so much as we're always talking about games that have longevity. This game can only be played 15 times in total. It is, of course, Risk Legacy.
Great game.
We have heard nothing but amazing reports. Sam, you've played it and reviewed it.
I have it.
One of the games of the year, wasn't it?
It's a lot of fun.
I've never played it, so I'm completely lost. Why can you only play this 15 times?
The idea is it's like a campaign system for Risk.
Yeah.
And the board will change depending on what happens.
Okay.
So your friends will start launching nukes and stuff, making certain areas scarred and have disadvantages. So the game changes as it goes.
And elements that you stick onto the board that then just become part of the board. And
you've got inside the box, you've got these envelopes which are only allowed to open at when certain targets have reached. Yeah. Including one hidden underneath all the other things that's just simply marked, do not open at any point. I've yet to open it.
Really?
Yeah. We've managed to resist this far.
Okay, well, anyway, Risk Legacy is a game that, if you're into Risk, it's not a difficult game to pick up, is it, Samuel? Risk itself is fairly straightforward. But this is a kind of a game that you'll get for somebody for Christmas. They'll get a few people around the board. How many players, Sam?
We had about 5 players.
Mm-hmm. And that will continue on. If you're only playing once a week, that'll take you right through to the spring.
Yeah.
How long does the game take?
How long's a piece of string?
Very long.
A game can be for a couple of hours. A couple of hours would play through a game. So it's a fantastic game. It's well worth a look. And the reason why I think it fits well on this list is if whoever you're buying for doesn't have it, that's great. And if they do have it, it's the kind of thing you can play through a game because every time you play through it, it's different.
Yeah.
It's not the same thing. So there's no problem in them having another copy of it.
It's an excellent board
So
game.
these things you stick to the board are permanently.
Yeah,
stuck
they're
to the
permanent.
board?
Yes.
Yeah, you can make your own capital cities. Like my one is the capital city of Samarkand.
Right.
You can name the. You compete for the ability to name the whole world at the end as well.
So they've taken the idea that a board game necessarily doesn't have to have an endless life,
Yeah.
Yes,
and they've
it's
injected more fun to it because people know, well, this is a permanent change.
more
I'm
fun,
making.
more tension. You know, it's all
More consequences.
It's all in there.
Yeah, definitely.
Consequences is a great word. A great word, describes it really well.
Therefore, more risk, more return, more. What is it when you get more back? Oh,
Return,
return.
reward,
Reward. That's it.
Reward, yeah.
So yes, Risk Legacy is our number 8 in this list, and definitely it's one I don't believe you can go wrong with. If you can get it for someone, if they've already got it, that's great. It'll be there for them the next time they're going to play through. If they haven't got it, by God, they're going to have so much fun with that game. Okay, next up is the first of our war games. So on the 7th day of Christmas, my true love gave to me
He didn't sing that one.
You didn't sing that.
a copy of Open Fire, dudes.
Ooh.
Flames of War, Open Fire.
Okay, just for that, we forgive you for not singing.
Yes. This is, I've been having fun with Open Fire all year. Okay? Open Fire is the starter set for the war game Flames of War. And I can stand over that with a personal guarantee that if your person that you're buying this gift for is into their gaming, is into their wargaming at all, they're going to love Flames of War. Okay,
Right.
because up until I started playing it, I had no interest in history. Okay, I still have no interest in the historical aspects of it. But whenever I thought to myself, well, I'm going to go and have a go at this, I just put all the history to one side. The game itself is so epically good. It's so good. It's really well balanced. It's so much fun. The game ebbs and flows as you go through, so you never really feel like you're just going to pound somebody. There's a lot of ebb and flow to the game. The other beauty of the game is it's a smaller scale than, for example, Warhammer 40k or anything like that. So you get more tanks. It's all about the tanks. And the game kind of feels like you're up here at commander level with all your tanks doing stuff, and then you get into a skirmish or an actual hand-to-hand combat, and suddenly your whole focus zooms in on that.
Yeah, I think
And it's just really good.
there's a misconception that
15
28 mil is God scale. No, it's 15 mil is God scale.
Yeah, 15 mil. It's
Because you get the
superb.
God view.
You
Yeah.
keep going on about it. I have to admit, it's a game I'm still not entirely sold on myself.
Well, have you played it yet?
I had a quick go at it, but never properly.
No, well then I will get my Nachtwolf out, or I will get a copy of Open Fire out.
Okay.
And at one of these game nights between now and Christmas, I will take you through a game of Open Fire with me.
Sounds good.
Okay? I'll even let you be Germans.
Sounds good.
It's awesome. Now, the reason it fits on this list is as a self-contained starter set, it has it all. It has a full rule book. It has terrain in the box. In fact, until the Dropzone Commander came out, this was the #1 starter set according to Beasts of War. This was our favorite starter set of all time. Dropzone Commander has come out now, and it's now our current #1 favorite starter set in the market.
But both of them should have a picture of Warren
Yeah.
Sterling.
The Beast of War Warren seal of approval.
Well,
Just a
really,
picture of your
this
face.
has the dice in it. It has the tokens in it. You get 2 reasonably good armies in it. You get a German army in it, and kind of like an allied army with some Stugs. The German army has Stugs, which is the best looking tank of all time. It's the most sci-fi looking tank of the World War II era. It's just awesome. And the Americans, they get Shermans, and they have a Sherman FireFly in there as well. It's all plastic. It goes together lovely, and it's just really, really good. It is that good.
So what happens if I give you it and you already have it?
Don't worry, because myself and Dave, my compadre in our series Flames of War for the win, discovered that it, like other starter sets, was best whenever we had two, when we had one each. And I gave him the Americans and he gave me the Germans. And we ended up with two really good armies. If you're not worried about points or the construction of your army and just playing with what you've got in the box, you end up with two really good, interesting armies. If you've the other thing about it is that the troops are always handy to have.
You get more
tanks.
dice.
You get more tanks as well. You get more dice. You get a few tokens and stuff like that. It's not going to. It's not going to cause any issues if I have another set of it. It's one of those things that is just, it's always useful to have another set of it.
Me saying there is more dice sounds a bit mundane, but it's not, because you'll find with these starter sets that sometimes you quickly run out of dice and you're re-rolling. Whereas if you have two, you suddenly have enough dice just to roll it all at the same time and go, boom, look at all my hits.
That's exactly it. Boom.
Look at all my hits.
So definitely up there on the list for this year is Flames of War Open Fire. So, and if they have any interest in the theatre of Second World War, wow, it's going to be perfect for them.
Okay, sold. I'll take two in my size.
Okay, right. Next up, I think it's time to pick another board game. On the 6th day of Christmas, my
Singing
true
this
love
Yeah, this.
gave to me
That's better. That's better.
a copy of FireFly.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to when it gets to the 5th day.
So, copy of FireFly.
Where are we? Number 6?
Yeah.
Now, this is the one that is for me, had to be on the list, okay? Even though it didn't meet all our criteria, okay? And the criteria being if somebody ended up with two FireFly, what would he do? Two FireFly is not...
There's no intermixing.
There's no
Yeah, you
intermixing
can't do.
really there. But FireFly itself as a game is so good, it had to make its way onto the list. And there's so many FireFly enthusiasts out there that you probably can't go too wrong by picking up a copy of this game. And the fact that it's only just now getting its general release here in Europe means that there's every chance that your person that you're buying for doesn't have this game anyway.
That's a good point, because it hit the States first.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
So if you're in the States and you're buying, yeah, still do it, because it's just, there's a huge love of FireFly over there.
There is an upside, though, if you're buying it for someone and it turns out they have it, you get to keep it.
You get to keep it. This is the only thing that we can't stand over on this one, is because if you bought this for somebody and they did already have it, they're not going to get an awful lot of use out of a second copy, other than just keeping it sealed somewhere and seeing if it goes up in value, as sometimes these games do. So, but FireFly is a game. It's based on you have your ship. You're kind of like a privateer almost, roaming around the different points of the galaxy. Okay. And you're trading, you're getting ready to do a big job. So it's a lot of fun. If they're into FireFly the series, they're going to get a lot of kicks out of this. And it's a great, it has that ability for you to sit around the table and have a lot of fun and laughs and jokes and stuff. And it's very lighthearted. It's good that way.
I just want to play it and see just how often people shout, "Curse your sudden but inevitable betrayal."
So yeah, FireFly is definitely on the list.
It's shiny.
Yeah.
Okay, in terms of myself and Lloyd are still debating whether this is actually a board game or a war game, and we'll have to see over the course of the next few months how this pans out. Currently, it's sitting firmly in the territory of board game. It's called Deadzone. So Deadzone is from Mantic Games. It's just come out of its Kickstarter. It's now going on to general release, and it's a game that is based in their kind of futuristic Warpath universe. It's got some lovely game mechanics that any player of board games or war games are going to love, because it's kind of sits somewhere between a board game and a war game, in that you have a playing surface that's gridded out and you move from grid to grid, but when you're in those grids, you have to move behind cover and stuff like that there. as well. So it's a very interesting mechanic.
Here's why I like this as a Christmas present. If you give it to someone who doesn't play Warpath, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because it's a game in itself and it has all the bits and pieces.
Everything you need is in the box, including their new cool plastic terrain.
Which I'm getting to. If you give this to someone who plays Warpath, suddenly they've got some extra miniatures that they can break out into their Warpath games.
Yeah.
And they could go the other way, probably.
Yeah.
And they can also take the terrain out of the box and play that in their Warpath games, and then play the game itself, Deadzone, in its own right, going, this is cool.
More terrain is always a good thing.
Yeah, the miniatures in it are great. Okay, so if you've got if your loved one or whatever plays 40k or plays Warpath or any of these games, they're going to love this. If they've got any kind of an interest in science fiction battle games, this is going to be great for them.
You can just pop the terrain out and play with anything, basically.
It also meets our rules for a Christmas present in that if they already have a copy, an extra copy is not going to do any harm because it just means they get bigger forces, more terrain. What's not to like? What's not to like? You know, there's nothing in that box that they couldn't use more of.
Does anybody know if the table size changes?
You can change the table size to whatever you want. You know, so if you get 2 playing mats, you can pop the 2 playing mats down and just play a bigger
It
game.
can literally just expand to be twice the size.
Warpath will scale, or Deadzone will scale up. The terrain itself is looking very, very interesting, and we're looking forward to seeing it up close. We did see it at Salute, and we were having a good look at it, and it's a nice modular plastic terrain, which means that you can build it into any shape you want. The other interesting thing about it, it snap fits together. So you don't actually have to glue it.
Which makes
you might, but you don't have to.
Makes it another cracking gift for Christmas.
Yeah.
Open the box. Oh, cool. Snap, snap, snap. No, oh, crap. You didn't get me any glue, Benny.
Yeah. In fact, we didn't put that on the list. Glue and clippers. Glue and clippers. That's a bonus one. So, yes.
The number of times I stuck myself to stuff on Christmas Day.
Deadzone. Definitely a good one. Now, this next gift is kind of a tricky one, and this is going to require some confidence on your behalf to buy this one. And where are we at? On the 6th day?
5th. We're on the 5th now.
On the 5th day of Christmas, my true love gave to me.
What?
An airbrush from Badger. An airbrush. Okay.
That's going out there. That's here you go.
Yes, this is an interesting.
We didn't do the
one.
5th day properly either. Oh well.
Okay, here's the things with airbrushes, right? A lot of gamers out there would love to try an airbrush. Almost everybody that paints vehicles and things like that would love to try an airbrush. Very few of us ever pluck up the courage to go and buy an airbrush because we're worried we might be rubbish at it.
Hand up, that's me. Constantly going, I need to start airbrushing, and I never ever seem to get round to it.
Never bothered with it. Never tried it.
Well, this is the thing. So few have, but when you go with an airbrush and you get pretty good with it, you never go back. Okay? They are that good. And we've seen earlier, just a couple of months ago, that Anarchy Models did the templates, they did the stencils, they did a Kickstarter for stencils.
Oh yes,
they were
yes,
with airbrush flames and things like that onto your vehicles. So
Which went down a storm.
it went down an absolute storm. You know, that little company did magnificently well.
The hexy stuff on the tower vehicle just looked ace.
Yes, yeah.
It really did.
So, I think this is a pretty safe bet. However, I'm going to give you some things to watch for. It's a pretty safe bet because, as I've said, if your loved one is already heavily into painting and has airbrushes, don't bother, because you'll never get them an airbrush that's as good as the one that they will want or will be hankering after. If, however, they're still just working with little paintbrushes and things like that, this is a fairly good bet to have a go at. Games Workshop do an airbrush which kind of looks like a little grey plastic gun. Don't buy that.
Yeah, don't buy that. Don't buy the airbrush that looks like you should actually spray people with it.
Yes, fill it with petroleum and light the end. You know, don't buy that. Okay.
We would use that for lighting the fire, which needs more logs.
We need more
logs.
We'll put that one on. So some things some things about an airbrush. One is you want to make sure that you buy an airbrush that comes with a little compressor, a little air compressor with it. Badger do some great starter sets, as do some other companies out there. So if you're doing it, just get them one that has a little compressor in the box. Otherwise, they're going to end up having to buy these cans. It's like a spray can, but it doesn't have any paint in it.
It's just like an aerosol thing.
It's just a can of aerosol that they have to plug in and go. Forget about that. There's no ongoing power with that. There's no regulation of the pressures and things. So don't go down that route. Try and get them one that has an airbrush with a little compressor in the box. When you're looking at the airbrush, try and get one that has the hopper, so where you put the paints, at the top of the airbrush. Okay, I believe it's called gravity fed. All right, and the reason for that is you can put very, very small amounts of paint in there, and it just goes down through the hopper by gravity into the airbrush and sprays out the end. If you get them one of the slightly cheaper versions, that you have a little glass jar with a tube in it, and you have to put the glass jar with the tube in it.
Underneath.
The jar sits underneath. The problem with that is you need more paint in it, because obviously the tube has to be down into the paint to absorb it, to suck it up, and it's relying on a difference of air pressure to create a vacuum to suck it up. It just is more to go wrong. It's just a pain in the butt. Whereas the one with a little hopper on the top is just clean, it's easy, and it works really, really well. And I've had problems, amazing problems, with ones that use the glass jar at the bottom. I've never had a problem with a little airbrush that had a gravity feed. So
there you go.
It's up to you. If you want to be the absolute hero of Christmas this year, I would highly recommend it, because they're going to have so much fun with it. They're going to have so much fun with it. Just remind them to water down their paint a little bit before they put it into the airbrush. Otherwise, it'll spray out and dry before it actually hits the model, and it'll start going a little bit sandy textured.
Maybe that's something for a future painting tutorial, how to use an airbrush.
Absolutely. I believe we already have some airbrushing tutorials on there
grand.
on Backstage. Go back to number 12th day of Christmas. Yeah, so if you get them an airbrush, get them a Backstage membership as well, because we've got some stuff in there on how to use it. Okay.
We're singing this song in reverse.
Yeah, we are, yeah.
Yeah. On the fourth day of Christmas then.
Yep.
Okay.
La 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 la.
Right.
Come on, Warren, get back into it.
If you're with someone who has quite a lot of models, one of the issues that they will always have is storage. Or as we call it, containment of the beast. Yes. So containment is...
never take your eyes off containment.
Yeah.
Containment is an ongoing problem for wargamers all over the world. There are a number of options for containment. One that I'm going to discuss here and put on our Christmas list is not the cheapest, but it's very cool.
It's certainly cheaper than a man cave.
It's cheaper than a man cave, but this is from Battlefoam, and it's the Battlefoam Pack system. And I specifically want to talk about the Battlefoam Pack Plus. Now, the Pack system from Battlefoam is a series of bags that are all compatible with each other, and you can zip them all together to create this skyscraper of bags that you can then wheel around, okay? And you can zip them off and put them on in different orders and stack them up.
Essentially, it means keeping all your minis together is
It's
easy.
ingenious.
Don't underestimate the handiness of being able to zip these things together.
Yes.
And wheel them about.
We actually use the pack system for moving our camera equipment and stuff about. We have we were very kindly helped by Battlefoam to get foam that we were able to cut to the shape of our cameras and things like that. And depending on where we're going or what we're going to do, we have a few pack elements that we zip together, and it creates a kind of like a modular roving studio for us. So it's a very, very useful and well thought out system.
And of course, some of the bags are massive. You can take loads in them as well.
Yes. There's one particular bag, and it's about this height from the table. It's really, really big.
I remember you tried to fit me in that when we first got in the studio.
Yes, it had to be done. And I think you fitted exceptionally well.
Yes.
Until
yes,
we tried to
indeed.
throw you down the stairs.
I think we'll have to revisit that.
So, the Pack Plus, however, is a little modular element that goes into the pack system that you can stack on top of the pack. But the Pack Plus also acts as really good kind of storage solution in its own right. Now, they are a little bit pricey, okay? We saw at full retail, they were rocking in at £49. The reason it fits our Christmas list is if they don't already have one, it's a great thing to have because they can store stuff in it. If they do have it, it's perfect to have more because they stack on top of each other and they zip together and they create this almost like shelving space that you can slide your foam in and out of. And it's the kind of thing that if they have one of the larger or smaller pack bags from Battlefoam, they can zip it onto the top or zip it onto the bottom to give them that bit more storage space for whenever they're carrying their armies around.
Yeah, and you can buy it with or without foam. So,
Yeah.
I mean, what goes into it is entirely up to whoever you give it to.
Yes. It's remember, transportation of our stuff is massive because we're always roving about trying to game with other people. So being able to move your stuff around and not have to carry it around in cardboard boxes or
without
biscuit
everything
tins and things
shattering.
like that is always a good thing. So definitely up there on the list. I don't think you can go too far wrong with it. And there are other manufacturers out there to have a look at if you want. This one in particular, I'm just impressed with because I happen to like the pack system. Okay, next up,
Third day.
third day.
La 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 la.
So let's recap what we've done so far. We've done the backstage pass.
No, you gotta sing it. You gotta sing your way through.
I'm not singing my way through it. We've done the backstage pass. We've done the X-Wing starter set. We've done the Dropzone Commander starter set. We've done the Vallejo paint case. We've done the copy of Loca. We've done Risk Legacy. We've done Flames of War Open Fire. We've done FireFly the board game. We've done Deadzone. We've done the Airbrush from Badger at number 10.
He's running out of fingers.
We've done
He's gonna take his shoes off in a second.
We've done Battlefoam Pack Plus at number 11. So this is actually number 12.
Oh, wow.
Did we lose count?
Maybe.
Sam lost
Sam, you were
count.
supposed to be counting this.
He just buggered up the whole show.
I studied English, not maths.
So what are we at? We're at number 12.
I guess no. Well,
No.
we started at 12.
We're at number 1.
We
Yeah.
started badly at the start because we started going the wrong bloody direction.
Okay, so at number 1, and we're going to do a couple of extra ones after
Yeah.
this that are fun. But at number 1, my number 1 gift for Christmas this year is got to be a copy of Fortune and Glory from Flying Frog Productions. This again doesn't meet all the criteria. However, one criteria that it does meet, it meets it in such a spectacular way, it had to go onto the list.
And what criteria is that one?
The fun and crack. The fun and crack of this game is unbelievable. Okay, so what this is, it's a pulp adventure board game for 1 to 8 players, ages 12 and up. However, your youngster could probably play along with this with a little bit of help.
Can Justin
Let me
play
explain this. Yes,
Then your
you go.
youngster can probably play it.
this is your family Christmas in one box. This is Indiana Jones at the dinner table. Okay? This is, and let me explain roughly. I'll just do an unboxing. I'll give you an idea of what it does. We'll go into more mechanics on it on another episode, okay? In more
Look at this
detail.
guy.
Yeah.
This
Move that further
this
over.
guy here.
Who's that guy?
That's Romain.
We need to compare and contrast picture.
That's Romain. And guess what? If
Spot
you
the
want to
difference.
see more of Romain, you need to pick up a backstage pass.
Yeah, that is Romain.
Cosplay
Yes.
outfit has the goggles and stuff, does it not?
Yeah,
He does.
Yeah.
He does. This is Romain dresses like this every weekend. So he does. It's right. What has this game got? It's got adventurers. It's got treasures. It's got Nazis. It's got mob villains. It's got blimps. It's got everything in it. So let me unbox this and show
Aztec
you.
temples.
What I love about
Natives
this
with blowpipes.
is this game basically represents Indiana Jones in a board game, okay? So just move that out of the way. So what you have is you have a world map. And on this world map, you basically will be traveling from place to place. There are key cities and smaller cities, and you're searching out for treasures and things like that. There are a ton of beautifully crafted tokens. I've become a real fan of Flying Frog Productions. We had a lot of fun where we played Last Night on Earth. We did that on the run-up to the Halloween episode. And this game here is even better than Last Night on Earth. Okay, it is more involved. There's a lot of decks. Okay, I'm going to take you through them. There's quick start rules here, and these quick start rules, basically only a couple of pages to get you started.
Bam! That's it.
Okay, and
Bam,
you know,
and the game is
sometimes
on.
I will admit there are games out there where I've never went beyond the quick start rules because I love the ability to bring out a game and just play it quickly without having to worry too much about huge amounts of setup and stuff.
It is nice to have the option to bring in all the extra rules as well.
Oh, it is. It's great. There's also a full-on rule book with describing all the bits in it and all the various different setups. So this game can be played cooperatively. It can be played competitively, which I've heard is an awful lot of fun. So let's show you off some of the decks that are in the game. So I will leave you to open that. You can open a deck, and Lloyd, you can open a deck. In the meantime, it also comes with a CD, which is great.
That's always a good touch.
Later on Christmas Day or on Boxing Day, you can have the CD on for your and
Does it have that on there?
it does give you that whole sense of being in an actual kind of 80s adventure. An 80s adventure set in the 30s. So the whole game is set in that kind of 30s kind of era. So here we have some of the card decks. Here we have events, and you have locations. Lloyd will find some more there. There's character cards in here.
Here's gear.
Gear deck. Allies.
And then the rest of this is artifacts.
And artifacts. There are quite a lot of different decks that make this game run. Okay, so that's one of the things just to bear in mind is there are a lot of decks that need to be laid out beforehand. And as you go through, the most complex thing of this game is just just setting up and lifting off the right deck.
That's very much like Arkham Horror as well.
Yeah.
The whole concept, it's reminding me a little of Arkham Horror in its design at the moment. But
yeah, well, it's not far off Last Night on Earth. It's just like a slightly more complex version of Last Night on Earth. In fact, it even has almost like on Last Night on Earth, you have this kind of sun counter. You even have a little counter on Fortune and Glory as well. That so many turns or the villains will win, kind of thing.
Now, I've done some photographing of this set, and it comes with a mountain of little plastic miniatures and counters and things like that as well.
I'm glad you said that, Lloyd, because now we're going to have a quick look at them. So, first up, we have our heroes. So you get a little bag of heroes. Let me get them out. So here, you guys can have a quick look at those. So the heroes themselves, let me have a card. Let me just pull them out for you to have a quick look at. So you have Jacques Moreau. You have Dr. Zukov. You have
Roman. It's Roman.
Yes, Dr. Zukov is the one that looks like our Roman. You have
I've got him here.
Limi Chen. You have Shelley Hargrove. You have Jake Zane. He may as well be Indiana Jones. You have Alexander Cartwright, Sharon Hunter, and Duke Dudley, who I've got to admit, if I could change my name, that's what I'd change my name to. Duke Dudley. Yep. And then every day people could come in and ask me, Dudley, are you on fire? And I go, yeah. there's a Dudley out there in the world who understands exactly what that was
Do you know,
about.
do you know what's good about
Good,
these?
because I don't.
It's not like levels of detail and stuff. I mean, they're all right, but it's the character that's in each.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true.
It's not a miniatures game. The miniatures themselves, I think, are some of the best board game playing pieces you're likely to find. They're really, really good, but they're not miniatures by any sense of the word. They're not going to set your world on fire. The other thing you have is a bag of kind of mobsters. Okay, so these are your soldiers and
The Nazis and stuff.
And
like
your
that.
yeah, well,
ziggurats.
most of your soldiers and your main or kind of Aztec temples.
Ziggurats.
Okay, now the Aztec temples is one of the more advanced rules that you can bring into play a bit later in the game.
They go anywhere, do they?
The rules for them are in the game, exactly where the temples go. And then finally, you have your blimp and your these are your mobsters here.
Are these your villains?
With the villains, with the Tommy guns.
So we got mobsters in red and Nazis in green.
Yes, and then your heroes are in that kind of purpley grey kind of color. So the game itself is all about going on an adventure to find a treasure. I'll let you open them up. So at any one time, there are 4 treasures on the board. When somebody actually discovers a treasure and gets to keep the treasure, then you replace that treasure with another treasure that's on the board. In order to get a treasure, you have to undertake certain tasks. So you'll be building up your gear and your allies. So your allies might be like a getaway driver and stuff like that. Your gear could be things like a grappling rope or handguns and things. And you undertake these kinds of tasks. So you might find that you have to do 4 or 5 tasks before you actually get to try and achieve, to secure the actual treasure. So you might have a car chase, or you might be chased by natives and things like that.
We've got some. It's got a bit of a fantasy element, I can see, because there's things like
I got
Yeti attacks
I got
and living
flippin'-
statues.
flippin'
Well, if you're
zombies.
Zombies.
if you're in the Himalayas, you're going to find Yetis. That's where they are. And zombies. If you're in Haiti, you're going to find zombies. This takes place all over the world,
Oh,
and it's perfect for. When I use the word role playing in a light sense here, in that you can put on the voices and have a bit of a laugh and pour some nice drinks and things like that. I just think it's a great game that will really set off Christmas. It'll get because it's up to 8 people. So if you have a lot of friends and stuff that you want to get together with over Christmas, you can include them all. And it's just an opportunity for you to do something that is so much based on the movies that so many of us grew up with.
yeah, these are really heavily influenced by all the Indiana Jones type films.
Yeah, it's brilliant. It is brilliant, and it's and for me, that's why this went top of the list as far as I was concerned. It's a big box game. Anybody opening it is going to be very, very excited. By looking at it and go, ooh, what's this? The miniatures are crisp and top-notch. The counters and game components are beautiful in their execution.
The sheer number of cards.
The sheer number of cards and replayability of the game is fantastic. The game is a little random, but it's only as random as you're able to storytell around it. Okay? This game is not there to tell a story. This game is there to give you the components for you and your friends to tell the story.
Sometimes the
as it
random's
happens.
good because it increases entertainment.
Yeah.
Because a board game's not necessarily about competitiveness, it's about entertainment.
Yes, and it's that randomness. So long as you and your friends can have some fun with it and tell the story, it's up to you to tell the story. It's not going to tell the story for you. It'll give you the anchor points for which you hang your story on. And if you're having a few drinks and having a laugh and talking about the story in funny voices or whatever, you're going to have a whale of a time. People know I'm not a fan of too much randomness in a game, such as Relic, for example, where I felt that Relic just took me all over the place, and I got bored.
You're gonna end up feeling like you're in an episode of Hello Hello.
So this is my number one game. Before we go though, we have 2 more. These guys here picked their favourites as well that they wanted to add to the list. And Lloyd's favourite was Judge Dredd starter sets.
I'm only looking at it because I've sort of skirted around the idea of maybe getting into Judge Dredd,
Yeah.
the minis. But I find it hard to get into a miniatures range until the likes of a starter set comes along. So as soon as I seen the starter set, I thought, finally, here we go. Here's my way into this game that I've been kind of skirting around trying to think, oh, how am I going to get in here?
Yeah.
So that's why it kind of excites me.
And it's a
If
very
you-
good starter set too.
If you're with if you're buying for someone that's into 2000 AD,
Can't go wrong.
you can't go wrong with this. You really can't go wrong. And it's interesting because Judge Dredd is a collaboration between Mongoose and Warlord Games. And here's a bit of trivia for you. Warlord Games now has the Honourable Sir Rick Priestley, as knighted by Beasts of War.
Of course.
Sir Rick Priestley is now one of the executives in Warlord Games. So it became pretty clear to me, Rick's influence, and John Stallard is one of the other ones. They're two guys from the very, very early days of Games Workshop. And it gave me a real smile on my face whenever they teamed up and got involved in the 2000 AD Judge Dredd stuff. Because before Rick Priestley started to write for Games Workshop, he actually wrote a game for Judge Dredd for
really?
2000 AD. Yes. So his early roots and the early roots of John Stallard as well were in working with stuff in and around Judge Dredd in 2000 AD.
I knew Games Workshop had done some Judge Dredd miniatures in the past, but I didn't know.
Well, that was Rick's work. Rick, I think even before he joined Games Workshop, because remember, Games Workshop at that stage was being run by Steve Jackson and Ian Livingstone. So before even Rick would have joined, he was doing I think it was like role-playing games and or miniatures games for Judge Dredd. So I thought it was a really nice full circle to see both those guys involved in that again.
Exciting times. It's nice to see Judge Dredd actually being expanded as a game. I mean, it's been desperately overlooked.
Yeah, it has, yeah.
Yeah, well, it's had a great movie out recently. At least I enjoyed it.
I loved it.
I haven't seen it yet.
Have you not seen
You
it
haven't
yet?
seen Dredd yet?
No. I'm still living with Stallone's version.
Yeah.
I still have a lot of fun with that film.
Yeah.
It's awful, but I love watching
Yeah,
it.
it's time for you to watch the new one. But yeah, it's a great game, and the starter set looks really good. And then finally, to round out the show, Sam picked his favorite.
Oh, yes, this one was picked for me.
Sam, as one of the little people, you had to go for a dwarf.
Oh, of course,
You've
it
done
had to
this
be a
in
dwarf.
honor of yourself and Ben. They are the two lead writers for Beasts of War. We know them as BAM. Ben is a huge fan of dwarves, and Sam, you're a fan of this particular dwarf. It is, of course, the Greebo Christmas dwarf.
That is the...
It's shocking.
With a package and all. Yes. Yeah. This is no longer a morning show. This should have went out after the watershed.
Are we going to blur this?
Don't worry, Greebo put out the censored one.
Justin has just had an aneurysm looking at it. So I was like,
Are we blurring or are we leaving in?
well, we don't know what Justin's doing. Justin, what are you doing? What are you doing? So yeah, if you fancy your dwarves overcompensating for something,
I don't think that one's overcompensating for anything.
the Greebo Christmas dwarf is the way to go. Anyway, folks, so look, we hope you enjoyed it. It's been great fun being able to rattle through games. Those are our kind of pick for the 12 to 14 version, 14 gifts that we think you can't go wrong with.
The lost count days of Christmas.
Yeah. So 14 gifts that we don't think you can go wrong with this Christmas. They are our top gifts of 2013. And if you disagree, well, the only place to disagree with us is in the comments. And if you do agree, or if you've seen something on this that you've liked, well, what you have to do is get this episode set up at the point where we're about to talk about the present that you like, okay? And then you call whoever's going to buy you this present into the room, okay? And you go, I've forgotten something. Stay there and watch that. That's a very interesting show. It's a really interesting show. Subscribe to it, and you can buy a backstage pass for it. And, and press play and walk out of the room, and then listen through the door. And then when we've come in, you walk back in and you say, well, sorry, I've heard the thing I was going to talk to you about. Did you watch any of that? And they'll go, yeah. And they'll say, yeah, those guys really know what they're talking about. They really know what they're talking about.
Or you rush back in horror when you realise they're talking about Greebo.
We're talking about Greebo. Okay, guys. Well, look, it's been an absolute pleasure spending another morning with you. We hope you have a fantastic weekend. If you are a backstager, remember you can join us tomorrow morning over at beastsofwar.com for the XLBS, which is the extra long backstage version of the Weekender. It doesn't include any of this. It's just an entire other show from the point that we finish. So if you've enjoyed this and you want to continue your weekend with us, every Sunday morning, well, most Sunday mornings, we're there with an XLBS, and we would love to have you join us. Finally, one other last thing on Backstagers. We are having a Backstager meetup in Nottingham on the 29th of November. Friday, the 29th of November.
Where?
If you're a backstager, it's all in a post, and you'll be able to find
it's a secret.
The secret location where we're going to be meeting up for a few beers and a bit of crack, and just our last meetup of 2013, where we get to talk about all the cool stuff that's happened over the year and what we're hoping for the next year. So if you're heading up to the Mantic Open Day on the 30th, if you want to come out with us the night before, on the Friday night, make sure and head on over to beastsofwar.com, and on the homepage you'll find a Robin Hood with a beer. All the details are in there. If you're a backstager, hop on in. If you're not a backstager, become a backstager and come along. Or if you're sneaky enough and you can find out where we're at, you're more than welcome to join us, of course. Okay, guys, it's been a pleasure. We will possibly see you next week, although we're away to Nottingham, so it might be a real struggle for us to actually get a weekender out next week. And if we don't manage it, we will see you the weekend after. Other than that, have a great weekend, and we will catch you next week.
Bye.
See you.